My name is Mia Carter, and if you had asked me a month ago, I would have told you my life was perfect. I had a stable job as a freelance writer, a cozy apartment in the heart of the city, and most importantly, my best friend Clara. She wasn't just my roommate, she was my sister in every way that mattered. We met in college, two ambitious dreamers who instantly clicked. She was the confident, adventurous one, always pushing me to take risks. I was the grounded, cautious one, keeping her from jumping headfirst into chaos. Together, we balanced each other. After graduation, we decided to move in together. Our apartment became our sanctuary, a place filled with laughter, shared secrets, and midnight talks over cups of coffee. Clara worked in finance, a sharp-minded analyst with a promising career ahead of her. I admired her. She was smart, driven, and always seemed to have her life together. If there was anyone I trusted completely, it was Clara. For 3 years, life was simple, predictable, and safe. We knew each other's routines, our likes and dislikes. We celebrated birthdays together, comforted each other through breakups, and navigated the messiness of adulthood side by side. Looking back now, I realize how much I took those moments for granted, because I never saw it coming. Life has a way of fooling you into a sense of security, making you believe that everything is exactly as it should be. That's how I felt living with Clara. Our apartment was our little world, filled with movie nights, spontaneous weekend trips, and endless conversations about our dreams. I thought I knew her inside and out. After all, you don't live with someone for 3 years without seeing their true self, right? But trust is a funny thing. You don't realize how fragile it is until it shatters. It started on an ordinary evening. The city outside buzzed with life, cars honking, neon signs flickering in the night. Clara was working late, so I had the apartment to myself. I decided to do some cleaning, a simple way to pass the time. I dusted shelves, wiped counters, and eventually made my way to her room. Normally, I wouldn't invade her space, but I figured she wouldn't mind if I straightened up a bit. That's when I found it. A small folded letter tucked under her mattress. At first, I thought nothing of it. Maybe an old note, a forgotten keepsake. But as I held it in my hands, an unsettling feeling crept over me. The paper was yellowed with age, the ink slightly faded. And then my eyes landed on the name scrawled on the envelope. Eleanor Green. My stomach twisted. The name meant nothing to me. Clara had never mentioned an Eleanor Green in all the years I had known her. My first thought was that it belonged to a relative, maybe a friend from her past. But if that were the case, why hide it? I should have put it back. I should have walked away. Instead, my fingers trembled as I slid the letter open. The message inside was chillingly brief. You must leave before it's too late. They know what you did. A cold shiver ran down my spine. The words stared back at me, ominous and foreboding. Who was they? What had Clara done? My mind raced, grasping for logical explanations, but none of them made sense. Then, before I could even process what I had just read, my phone buzzed on the nightstand. A message from an unknown number. Mia, don't trust her. My heart pounded. I blinked, staring at the message in disbelief. My hands moved on instinct. I tried to take a screenshot, but the message vanished before I could, completely erased, as if it had never existed. Panic clawed at my chest. This wasn't a coincidence. Someone was watching me. Then, from the hallway, a faint creak. I froze. The air in the room grew heavy, thick with something I couldn't name. My pulse thundered in my ears as I strained to listen. Silence. Then, a whisper. You shouldn't have found that. Ice crawled up my spine. of my brain screamed at me to run, to move, to do something, but I couldn't. Not yet. Because in that moment, as dread curled around my chest, I realized something terrifying. I had been living with a stranger for 3 years. My breath hitched as the whisper echoed through the room. My grip tightened around the letter, my knuckles turning white. My mind screamed at me to turn around, to face the voice behind me, but fear rooted me in place. Then, another sound, a footstep, slow and deliberate, just beyond the bedroom door. Run! The instinct surged through me, but I fought against it. I needed to think. Clara wasn't supposed to be home yet. Who else could be here? My hands trembled as I carefully placed the letter back under the mattress, my heart slamming against my ribs. Another step. Closer this time. I swallowed hard, forcing my voice steady. Clara! Silence. Then the door creaked open. A shadow stretched across the floor as the dim hallway light seeped into the room. I forced myself to turn, my pulse hammering in my ears. But when I finally faced the doorway, there was no one there. The apartment was silent again, but the air still felt charged, thick with something I couldn't explain. I took slow, measured steps toward the hallway, my fingers curling around my phone, ready to dial if I had to. Nothing. The living room was empty, the kitchen untouched, the front door locked. Had I imagined it? Was my mind playing tricks on me? Then my phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. Get out, now. A chill crept up my spine. This wasn't paranoia. Someone was warning me. I turned on my heel, heading straight for my room. I needed to pack, to leave, to get somewhere safe before Clara came back. But just as I reached my bedroom door, the doorknob twisted from the other side. I stumbled backward, my breath catching in my throat. And then the door swung open. Clara stood there, her expression unreadable. The warm, familiar face I had trusted for years now seemed like a mask. Her gaze flickered down to my shaking hands, then back up to meet my eyes. You found it, didn't you? I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. Her lips curled into a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. I was hoping you wouldn't. I took a step back. My instincts screamed at me to run, but my legs felt frozen. Clara took a step forward. You weren't supposed to see that letter, she said, her voice eerily calm. But now that you have, she sighed, tilting her head. This complicates things. My mouth was dry. Who is Eleanor Green? Her expression didn't change. That's not the right question. I frowned. Then what is? She smiled, cold, knowing. What did I do? My stomach twisted. And the answer? My voice barely came out. She exhaled slowly, as if considering. Then without warning, she lunged. I barely had time to react. I stumbled backward, my hand reaching for anything to defend myself. My fingers closed around a glass vase on the nightstand. Without thinking, I swung. The vase shattered against her shoulder. She staggered, a sharp hiss escaping her lips. I didn't wait. I bolted. My feet pounded against the wooden floor as I sprinted down the hallway. My hands fumbled with the lock, yanking the door open. Cold night air slapped my face. I didn't stop. I ran down the street, my breath ragged, my heartbeat deafening. My phone buzzed in my pocket, but I didn't dare look. I needed to get away, to think, to process. I didn't stop running until I reached a 24-hour diner 3 blocks away. The bright neon lights felt safe. I stumbled inside, gasping for breath. A waitress gave me a curious look, but I ignored it. Sliding into a booth, I finally pulled out my phone. Another message from the unknown number. I told you not to trust her. My hands shook as I typed back. Who are you? 3 dots appeared. Then, someone who wants to keep you alive. I swallowed hard, my fingers tightening around the phone. My mind raced with possibilities. Who was this person? How did they know Clara? And more importantly, how did they know I was in danger? My hands trembled as I typed another message. Why is she dangerous? The response came instantly. Because she isn't who she says she is. My breath caught in my throat. I wanted to press for more, but another chill ran down my spine. A presence. I looked up. Across the street, standing beneath a flickering streetlight, was Clara. She wasn't running, wasn't panicked. She just stood there, watching me, as if she knew exactly where I'd go. My blood turned to ice. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Clara lifted her phone, her fingers moving across the screen. A second later, my phone buzzed. A message from her. Come home, Mia. My heart pounded, the way she stood there, still, calm, like this was a game she was confident she'd win. I gripped my phone so tightly, my knuckles turned white. Number I wasn't going back. I shot up from my seat, ignoring the questioning looks from the diner staff. I had to leave. I had to disappear. Because whatever was happening, Clara wasn't just a part of it. She was the center. I stepped out of the diner, my pulse hammering. Clara was still there, waiting, her expression unreadable. I turned on my heel and ran. The city blurred around me, streetlights flashing like warning signs. I didn't know where I was going, just away, away from her, away from whatever twisted secret she was hiding. My phone buzzed again, but I didn't check. Not until I was deep in an alleyway, hidden in shadows. My breath came in ragged gasps as I finally glanced at the screen. A final message from the unknown number. Run. I barely had time to register the message before a new sound sent terror through me. Footsteps. Close. Too close. I pressed myself against the wall, heart pounding in my throat. A silhouette appeared at the alley's entrance. Clara. But she wasn't alone. Another figure stood beside her. A man, tall, broad-shouldered, his face hidden in the shadows. Clara's voice echoed through the alley. You should have listened, Mia. Cold fear gripped my spine. I had nowhere left to run. I barely had time to process her words before the man beside her took a step forward. His presence alone sent ice through my veins. Who was he? What did they want? My mind screamed for me to move, but I was frozen, trapped between the walls of the alley and the horrifying truth that my best friend, my sister in every way that mattered, wasn't who she claimed to be. Then Clara spoke again, her voice almost amused. You always were too curious, Mia. My phone buzzed. One last message from the unknown number. This is your last chance. Run. Does Mia escape, or does Clara catch her? Is Eleanor Green even her real name? Or is something even darker hiding beneath the surface? What would you do in Mia's place? Run, fight, call the police. Comment your theories below. And if you want to know what happens next, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for part 2. Because this story, it's far from over. Join us on your English learning journey. If you love storytelling, why not improve your English while enjoying great content? Learning a new language can be exciting, and we're here to make it fun, engaging, and interactive. Whether you're a beginner or looking to refine your skills, we've got you covered. Subscribe and stay tuned for more thrilling stories, vocabulary tips, and language hacks that will help you grow your confidence in English. Keep learning, keep exploring, and let's master English together. Thank you for being part of this journey. Stay safe and trust no one on fire.